Hello you lovely lot and welcome back to another video. My name is Katie and today we are gonna unbox and create with August 2022 ScrawlrBox. As always, we get a print in the box and the artist of this month is Julie Avisa. And that is a very colourful and pretty summery looking scene. Of course, we also get the stickers, we get the magazine, but let's face it, we're all here for these goodies inside. And upon first inspection, we have some oil pastels, a nice blue eraser, something that looked like a cuticle pusher, but we'll get to that in a moment, a tortillon or blending stump, a pencil, and not one, but two lots of paper, which is great because recently paper supplies haven't been great with the most recent box video I've done. But let's put that aside and test these goodies out. So we have a Staedtler Lumograph 5B pencil. I quite like this brand of pencils anyway, I usually think they're a good quality there. The blending stump, it's a double-ended one and it does what a blending stump does. The Derwent Artist Eraser, it's a high-performance, non-abrasive specialist artist eraser, great to pair with the 5B pencil, and yes, it does remove everything. A pack of 6 Sennelier oil pastels, and we have white, black, yellow gold, yellow ochre, charcoal blue and light green. And the thing I thought was a cuticle pusher was actually a wooden stylus scratcher. The reason I said that was like back in late 1999, I remember having a little nail kit and it came with something that looked like that to apply sequins to your nails. Anyway, let's just move on from that, shall we? The paper we have is the ScrawlrBox own drawing paper in A5, and that's 250 GSM and 10 sheets. And the other paper we have is the Sennelier oil pastel paper, which is 340 GSM, and it's very nice. It's just a shred larger than A6. But for the record, the paper I'm using today is going to be the ScrawlrBox stuff. This month's theme is Where Rivers Flow, and I could not help but think of perhaps creating a water dragon because two reasons. One, it goes with the theme, and number two, I haven't done a dragon for a while and I need to do some more dragons. Now, as you know, if you've been here a while, at the start of the year I did want to sort of branch out a little bit more into oil pastels, and I'm really glad that I've managed to try a different brand because boy oh boy, there is a difference. I didn't invest a lot of money in the oil pastels I'd bought before. Like I say, they were just the cheap ones either off Jackson's or my local art shop. And they were Faber-Castell and De Laroni. Now, these Sennelier ones, oh my goodness, you only had to think about putting that colour on the page and it was there. I kid you not, there is no need to apply a lot of pressure with these. They just went on like a dream. And as you can see right now, there isn't a huge amount of area covered with what I'd laid down with those pastels, and that blending stump, which I am really glad you put in there, ScrawlrBox, just moved things around that paper beautifully. I'd only have to perhaps just reapply in a couple of areas where there perhaps wasn't quite as much and just smoosh it in, and yes, it was a joy to work with. I also really liked the colour selection we had this month. Now yes, it is minus a red, but you know, we do get limited colour palettes and I think all of the colours included work together really well. I'm quite glad as well that we had quite a soft pencil in this month's box to work with and get that line work down. It just meant either it would erase easily, or if I really was feeling a bit lazy, it would blend in quite nicely too. For the background of this, I wanted some swirly currents of water, so I used that charcoal blue and just lay some white next to it and introduced some of that light green colour in there too. And again, I did not have to use much, and this was the background where a lot of stuff's usually filling in areas. No, it just went on like a dream, and as you can see, just pushing it around with that blending stump, it made some really nice soft edges there. Now, just to let you guys know, obviously your blending stump is going to get oil pastel on there, and an easy way to remove that is to just get a scrap piece of paper and just keep dragging it across your paper until you don't get any more residual oil pastel on there, and you are pretty much good to go. A handy tip I can advise though is keep one end of the blending stump for your darker colours and one end for your lighter colours, and then that just risks, well, no, it doesn't risk, it minimises the risk of contamination there. It really was quite weird using these because, I mean, I'm not dissing the Faber-Castell or the De La Roni ones. They are what they are, and they're the only oil pastels I've ever really worked with. They were quite similar to the ones I had way back in school, which is more years than I care to mention right now. And comparing the two, the Faber-Castell type ones, you really did have to have a good tooth on the paper and really have to work it in with your blending stump or a blending medium. These, nah, nowhere near as much pressure needed when applying it as well as when you're blending it. I hadn't really quite got it in me to use my fingers to blend. Personally, I don't like it, and it always feels impossible to wash off as well. So again, I am glad there was some blending stumps in there to spare my hands. Now I decided to add a bit of a black outline to our dragon here, and one thing that I noticed as well is not only could you soften edges with that blending stump, but you could also create some nice crisp lines as well, depending on how you push the oil pastel around. I found that edging that darker border up towards the dragon's body and then smoothing away from it created a nice crisp line and just allowed that little bit of contrast, because it was in danger of becoming a little bit too blended in the background there, and we just don't want that. For our dragon's fins, I thought I would get that beautiful yellow out and use that ever so lightly over those fins, as well as adding an accent in there with that light green. And then just adding a little bit of shadow back in there with the charcoal blue. And I absolutely loved how beautifully smooth those yellows and greens merged together, and they created actually quite a nice sort of rich, I want to say like a leaf green, but it's not quite there, but it just created a really nice colour, which again just added a bit of contrast there. And you've seen how little I've put down and how easy it is moving around on the page. Honestly, I am absolutely, mind is blown with this. Now, the only thing I'd say where I have any problems here, and again it's not really, it's just preference, but when I use these types of mediums I do like to use a larger surface, and obviously it's whatever fits through the letterbox with ScrawlrBox, and that's absolutely fine. And I didn't have quite so many issues because these pastels moved around the paper so easily. However, I do prefer a big piece of paper for oil pastels because I can't quite get those fine lines yet, and I want to work my way to being able to do that. But also, on the other hand, maybe you're not quite supposed to be so intricate with oil pastels, and it's also a good exercise in loosening up. So I guess really I haven't got a point to make there. I just wanted to kind of mention it, that's all. And maybe that's just me telling myself what I need to do in the future when I pick this medium up again. For the eyes, and we're going to call them antennae on the dragon, I thought this would be a good opportunity to use that yellow ochre as well as that golden yellow, and I thought again it's just something else that's going to stand out. And after I'd done that, it was time to finish off outlining everything. And perhaps this just highlights my point of yearning to work on a larger surface, which I think I will do beyond this box. I just found it a little bit hard to get those details in. But then again though, I mean, I guess ScrawlrBox had it covered, and that blending stump really did help quite a lot. I did use the wooden one, but I think that is perhaps more for carving into your already applied colour, which is what I did use it for on the fins, and I did find that it was a better option to just keep using the paper based stump rather than the wooden one. It was just a little bit too abrasive to blend and merge, but great for creating those textures on there. I can't tell you enough though just how much I enjoyed this box, and I thought the theme was really good for it as well. It's one of them mediums that once you get it on the page you just want to swirl it around and just see how well it blends and what you can achieve with it and what other colours you can blend with it as well. I quite like the fact as well we often get limited colour palettes with most subscription boxes, and I always like how ScrawlrBox just ever so subtly likes to stay on brand. I see what you're doing there with them blues and greens. But back to my point though, I really enjoyed this box. I actually really feel like we got a good project in there, and I appreciate that when you get a box and you've got a project you can work with and do some more projects with afterwards and really get to know the medium. I always think that's a good success for a box. It doesn't make it stressful. You don't have to think too hard about it, and I can get on and enjoy the supplies, which I imagine we all want to do really when we have these things. One last thing to say about the medium, even though the whole page was covered in oil pastel by that point, I could still layer up on top afterwards, which I really liked. It meant I could add some swirling bubbles in the water as well as just a few glimmers where the scales are, and I didn't need to blend them in, they were just fine as they were. Also, introducing that 5B pencil in there just meant I could just add a little bit of a subtle outline without having to get that thicker crayon out. Crayon, oil pastel, you know what I'm saying. And that just added a few nice little finishing touches there. But anyway guys, let me know what you think of this month's box, and if you've had it, did you enjoy the supplies? Are oil pastels new to you, or have you used them before? You know, all that good stuff down below. And of course, if this is your first time using oil pastels, I hope this video has helped you. And speaking of videos, there should be some more on screen right now I think you're going to enjoy. I just want to say a massive thank you for clicking on this video and watching it. I very much appreciate that. And I'll see you lovely lot soon.